Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's presentation as part of the Industry Insight webinar series. The topic today is client collaboration, the tools you need to keep your clients happy. Speaking today will be Ron Collins from Amicus Attorney. The Industry Insight webinar series is hosted by the ABA Legal Technology Resource Center. To stay updated on upcoming webinars or view previous videos, visit ambar, that's ambar.org/industryinsight. You can also stay updated on legal technology news through our blog, which is www.lawtechnologytoday.org. Ron Collins is an experienced attorney, a fellow of the College of Law Practice Management, and an internationally recognized author and speaker on the subject of law and technology. He is also the founder and CEO of Gavel & Gowns Software, a company dedicated to providing practice management solutions that work the way lawyers do. The presentation today will be followed by a Q&A. Please enter your questions into the question box in the webinar panel on the right side of your screen. We will address all the questions at the end of the presentation. We are recording this webinar, and we will be sending the video in a follow-up email in a few days. You can also keep an eye on our blog, which is, again, www.lawtechnologytoday.org. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll now begin the webinar.
Thanks, Rose, and thank you everybody for joining me here today. Really excited to be talking with you about client collaboration in the digital age. Client collaboration, of course, is nothing new to the practice of law. It's essential in a service business such as our industry. The advent of computers in our practices and the many mobile devices and the many factors of the information age, however, have made client collaboration both a pressing necessity and a challenge in terms of new tools, new technologies, and new ways to go about satisfying your clients, working with them, sharing information with them, and being a better lawyer and a better law practice as a result. So I'm here today for a relatively brief time to share with you some thoughts and insights into what's going on in those regards. First and foremost, as I'm sure everybody listening to me this afternoon knows, client expectations have been changing radically through the passage of time. The cartoon is amusing, but it does emphasize that even as little as 30 years ago, how we treated our clients, how they expected to be treated by us, and therefore what the process and the practice of law entailed has changed so dramatically. As the advent of information technology age devices keeps coming forward, everybody expects instant gratification. They expect instant information. They want to be able to Google the solution to their legal problem and have you be the person who writes back with the answer. That's a challenge because, as we all know, it's not that easy. Somehow we need to find new ways of working with our clients to meet these expectations and still deliver the quality of legal service that they require. Let's start then with what today's clients expect. First and foremost, and this is so different, they expect you to be reachable and responsive at any time of day. Again, it wasn't very long ago that when you went home for the evening, unless it was an emergency, you were out of touch with your clients and nobody expected to be able to reach you until the next day. Now, that's just not the case. They expect you to be on call 24/7 if something arises that they have a need for you. They also expect at the same time, while they're expecting those longer hours from you, they're expecting you to be more cost effective. They don't want to see multiple staff. They don't want to see big offices. They want you to communicate with them quickly and easily and cheaply. A third and really important aspect of what clients are looking for these days is information. They don't want to feel that they went and they consulted you, the lawyer, like some kind of oracle, and that you went away and in turn consulted the stars or whatever lawyers do and came back some weeks ago with the answer. Clients want to feel informed all the way through the process, and they want to feel in control of that. It's not up to you. They want to feel that their matter, their issue, whether it's a piece of litigation or a transaction, they're in control, they're in charge, they know what's going on every step of the way. In other words, they want to collaborate with you. They want you to be a partner. They don't just want a service provider, somebody who comes out with the answer at the end of a hidden or unknown process. And they want all of that to happen in a modern electronic way. This isn't any news to you. You know this is going on. The challenge then is, how do we meet these expectations? Well, first and foremost, I'm not going to be speaking about all the different aspects of client service. Heaven help us in a half-hour webinar like this. We're going to be talking about using digital tools for doing that. And that means, since so many of those expectations come down to communication, that we need to talk about how you communicate with your clients digitally. First and foremost out of those is your website. Every law practice, of course, it's a given, needs to have a website. Now, I know, because I deal with so many lawyers all the time, that most people today do. Not all, and that frankly still shocks me, because you can have a website in as little as about 20 minutes of effort. So there's no excuse not to have a website, and it costs you next to nothing. You know, a domain, which is what you get for a URL, costs about $10 from a URL provider like GoDaddy. $10 a year for that. If you can't afford that, and it takes you 5 minutes to set up. If you can't afford that, you shouldn't be practicing law. So when you've got a website set up, think about what you're going to put on it and how you're going to use it. So many law firm websites that I see today are pretty much one-dimensional. They have the law firm's contact information, perhaps a little bit of information about the type of works they do, something to promote the lawyer or lawyers in the firm, their names, their experience, items like that, which is great. Again, though, as a marketing tool, one-dimensional information about how great you are doesn't go that far. You need to look at other law firm sites, look at your competitors' sites, look at what they're saying about themselves and how. Use things like videos. A quick video introduction from yourself on your website is a great marketing tool. But again, that's only one of 3 purposes for your website. We're talking about communicating with people once they are clients. So you need to also be looking at your website as a tool for your existing clients. What is there that you can put on that website that will help set those client expectations, inform them as they go along, give background information about legal processes and other such things? The more you can put that information on the site, the happier your clients are with you, and at the same time it has a secondary benefit for marketing. Most importantly, make it rich. The more value you can put on your website, the better your clients will feel about you, the happier they'll be with your services. If your website is just self-promotion, telling the world how great a lawyer you are, then it's not doing you and your firm justice. It's not doing enough in the year 2015. All right, the next bullet item, and these aren't in specific orders, but the next one I have to raise is texting. Today, when you sit down and meet a new client and talk to them, one of the questions you should be asking is, how do you want to communicate? How do you want to go back and forth? Some today will say, well, you know, most of my communication is email or texting. They each have their place, and we'll talk about it. But texting is something that I urge you to be very careful about. There is nothing, in my view, more dangerous than a texted legal opinion. Texting with clients in general is, from my point of view, borderline in terms of professionalism. It's a great quick method of communicating with someone. It is not a vehicle for delivering legal services or legal opinion. So if the question for texting is, you know, I'm going to be 10 minutes late for the meeting, or can we get together next Thursday, that kind of thing, totally suitable and totally normal in the texting world of the year 2015. Legal opinions, your clients aren't just coming to you for quick answers. They're coming to you for you giving the time and thought to think about something. Getting a text and responding with your thumbs right after getting it, which is a typical mode of operating in a texting environment, are you sure you're giving them the consideration that any legal issue is required? That's my view. All right, video calls is the reverse of that. You know, today it is so easy to communicate with people by video communications, whether you're using Skype or FaceTime on the Mac platform or on an iPad. It is just so easy to see people's faces as well as hear their voices. personal communications are so valuable. So with all the emailing and texting you might be doing back and forth with your clients, communication errors can so easily creep in when intonation isn't present and the simple written word is used. People can just misunderstand what you meant when you typed words because you heard emphasis they didn't hear. So by all means, telephone, of course, should never be lost, but so too the video call. It adds such a good personal touch. We all know the value of having a client in your office, or better yet, being at your client's office to communicate with, but one or the other person is inconvenienced. It takes a lot of time, and that time isn't very billable to you. A video call is completely billable to you and adds so much more personal touch even than a phone call. Last but certainly not least, we've got to talk about sharing documents. Sharing documents is a huge part of the practice of law because documents are such an important part of the process of practicing law. You need to share documents with your clients. Don't put them in a big banker's box and ship them out. Burying your client in paper in the year 2015 is a sure way to lose a client. So we need to figure out how you can share them electronically easily. And it's not really just about documents, it's about all different kinds of information, because being able to do that quickly, easily, and at any time of day or night is a significant requirement in today's digital world. And of course, it's given that it's changed. I'm sure some people have, listening to me this afternoon, have never used fax machines. That's good for you. Some of us are a little older than that, and the fax machine used to be the standard method of sending paper back and forth. Well, it's ancient history today. You're not going to fax a client. You're going to PDF them or use other means of sharing documents with them. And they want it to be easy, they want it to be searchable, and they want it to be online. The great thing is, when you do that, you can show respect for their time. It's not here, come into the office and review the documentation. It's here are the PDFs of all the documents. Please review them at your leisure. Enhancing their convenience in that way is better client service, makes your clients happier with the legal work you're delivering. All right, easily said. How do we do that? Well, let's look at some alternatives. First and foremost, of course, everybody knows email. It's the core tool these days, I sometimes think, for practicing law. Emails go back and forth all the time, and you can attach documents and send them back and forth, of course. You can also, of course, put messaging in those emails. All right, but as much as we use email all the time, let's think about its functionality. It's a back and forth. When you read this, please read the attachment and deal with it and send it back to me. So you've got attachments going back and forth, and it's really mostly just about the documents and those attachments. Another core thing, unless you subscribe to a secure email provider, one that encrypts, and for all the fact that there are so many of them out there, 9 out of 10 lawyers, in fact, probably 49 out of 50 lawyers do not use encrypted email. It means it's not secure in the slightest. As those emails and their attached documents go back and forth, anybody can intercept them and read their entire contents. So as much as we rely on email all the time, it's not terribly secure, well, it's not secure at all, which leads to the issues with our ethical duties of client confidentiality. Now, I've seen so many emails from lawyers, and I'm sure everybody here this afternoon has too, that finishes with this standardized footer that talks about client confidentiality, and if you're not the intended recipient of this, please delete it immediately, and so on and so forth, privileged and confidential. Well, I don't know. I'm not here to give you a legal opinion as to the efficacy of such footers. Everybody uses them, and there must be some belief that they do at least indicate an intention to preserve that client confidentiality, and that's worth something. But when you have a chain of emails going back and forth, each time with that footer, it can put an immense amount of boilerplate and get in the way of proper communication, not to mention simply being annoying. Here's a thought for you. Why don't you put the entire contents of that footer, make it big and legalistic and cover everything you want, put it in a page on your website. It doesn't even have to be a linked page, just a page up there on your website, and then put a link to it as the only footer to each of your emails. A simple little tip like that, it cleans up your emails, and anybody can just click on the footer of your email and then see the full boilerplate disclaimer. All right, back to sharing documents electronically. How about Dropbox? More than half the lawyers in the United States today use Dropbox in some form for sharing documents with clients, at least according to the most recent technology survey conducted by the ABA. All right, it does the job. It's a standard consumer tool for allowing you from home of the office to get at the same documents and synchronize them, or for you to set up sharing privileges with one or more clients and allow them to share the documents too. You've got to set it up separately each time, and it's limited to the documents that you choose to put into it, but again, significantly, there are a series of security holes in Dropbox. It's questionable whether using Dropbox meets your ethical duties of confidentiality. If you want to see a series of good articles about that, I would refer you to the Amicus-Cloud website, amicus-cloud.com, where we have an entire page listing issues, ethical issues around this type of issue, and there's a whole row of them about Dropbox. Okay, those are some basic solutions. What would we really like to see? Well, what we really would like to see is something like what I've got on the screen now, some kind of magic portal or wormhole, whatever you want to describe it, something out of science fiction that can allow your client from the outside to see through and see what they need to see on your desk or on your computer at the office. Is there a way that we can electronically do that today? And the answer is, of course there is. They're called portals, just like the little image I just showed you tries to signify. And portals have a bit of a definition. They're secure web spaces in which a business and its consumers or customers interact. They're usually for sharing information or conducting some form of business transaction. And they're often accessed from a website. So typically a website will have generic information about the business or service, you and your law firm, but then it can have a login button in the corner somewhere that says clients log in here, and when you log into that, you're in a secure area which is referred to as a portal. Now, I'm not talking about something that's way out science fiction. I'm sure everybody listening to me this afternoon, whether they realize it or not, has used a portal many, many, many times. For instance, online banking. Those banks have their regular websites, and when you log into your account, you're using a banking portal. When you book a flight, you go shopping on Amazon or eBay, when you subscribe to a newspaper, all sorts of websites today incorporate client portals for allowing the secure sharing of information with their customers. Back to the practice of law. Our clients would like to get portions of their legal services through a legal portal. All right, how can we do that? Well, the good news is there's a variety of answers. One is to go out and buy and implement what I call a generic portal tools, because there are companies that build portal tools so that any smaller business can go and use them. A couple of good examples are OneHub and Basecamp, and you can just Google either of those words and find the websites for them. They're good products. There's a couple of things you need to think about them. One is that they tend to have limited integrations with other things that are going on in your practice. So whatever you put into them, you have to specifically choose to put into them. Another is that there's no branding for them. You go into the OneHub or the Basecamp system, the client isn't coming into your law firm. It doesn't feel like they are. Another is the simple issue of cost. Those generic portal tools, they're not expensive, but they're $30 or so a month a user, which can add up, and some of them go as high as $250 depending on the features you choose to subscribe to. So they're not inexpensive, but they're good solutions, and you do want to look into them. If you want to go whole hog, or if you're listening to me this afternoon from one of the large firms, you may already have what are typically called web content management systems. These are super powerful. They're flexible, and unfortunately they're expensive. They're typically based on big back-end systems like SharePoint and other technologies. They need to be built. They can cost tens of thousands of dollars to build them, and then they need to be maintained every day. There's a certain amount of work and effort has to be put into hosting them, maintaining them, keeping them going. If you invest in one, however, and again, larger firms, large firms do it, there's a lot of benefits to using that type of system. All right, but how about the rest of us? How about smaller firms who want something that's very client-specific, has good integration, great client interaction, and is so easy, well, it just kind of falls out of other things you're doing? The answer there is practice management systems, because today more and more practice management systems are providing client portals as part of what they're doing. Now, interestingly here, and as you know, I'm the founder of Amicus Attorney, so I'm going to use an example from Amicus Attorney. You may also know that Amicus is actually the only practice management system that has both a full cloud version and a desktop version, although the desktop version is a hybrid cloud. Typically, client portals are only available through cloud practice management solutions because they're already implementing things in the cloud. What's innovative and what has just happened in the year 2015 is that the desktop Amicus has just introduced a client portal, and it's unique as a desktop practice management system in doing that. It's using next-level technology to help you improve your client service and your ability to collaborate with your clients by sharing information through a portal technology. Your client uses a browser to log in through a secure entry point, 256-bit encrypted, and at the same time what they see looks like it's being put up and managed by your firm, exclusive to you. What's really different about the Amicus Client Portal is that everything is stored on your firm's server. It's not in the cloud. You have total control over the data, what goes into it, and how it's maintained, stored, and everything else. Plus, as it moves back and forth from your firm's server to your client's browser, it's 256-bit encrypted the entire time. Much more secure than email or Dropbox the entire time. You can put a link to it, as we said before, right in the corner of your own firm website for clients to easily find you and see this as part of that richness we spoke of on your website to log in and share information with you. All right, enough PowerPoint slides. Let's have a quick look at it. Here's Amicus Attorney 2015. I'd love to tell you more about it, but that's not my purpose. I'm just going to show you quickly how the client portal works so you get an idea of the type of electronic collaboration that's available to you. First and foremost, you're going to say to me, whoa, that sounds a little complicated, Ron. You're talking about these big portal systems that need to be set up. I'm a small law practice and I have no ability to go out to a web service provider and start hosting portals and securing them and everything else. I understand, and that's why you don't have to. It's this simple. In Amicus Attorney, all you do is you go into your firm settings and you go to this little thing here called Client Portal. You click Portal Setup and you get this simple dialog. All you have to do, seriously, all you have to do is click this checkbox, Enable Client Portal, and you've got one. Type in your firm name as you want it to appear in the portal. Do you have a letterhead, a logo, something? Just click on the upload button, select your letterhead, and bang, it's in there too. That easy, you now have a client portal. But wait, you have a client portal, how do your clients know about it? Well, it's this easy. I'll go into my Rolodex here in Amicus Premium 2015. I'll open up a client record, and here's my client, Gary Burwood. And I have a little symbol right here called Portal. You can see little cloud, and you can see I've already earlier today, my name in this demo is Heather Gabel. I've set it up for him, but I'll do it again so that you can see. All I have to do is click this checkbox that says Allow this contact to access the client portal. Gary Burwood is on 4 different matters with my firm, and I can click which files or matters I want to share with him. Typically I would do all, but I might just choose some. And then I can click to send the invitation, and what it does is it brings up my Outlook and it formats an email from me to Gary Burwood. I can change this, of course, in any way I want, but I won't bother for now. And that's it. With that, I've set up and Gary Burwood is now got access to my firm's client portal. All right, from Gary Burwood, from my client's perspective, how does that look? Well, here we've logged in into Google, to Gmail, and there is an email from Heather Gabel. There's the email we just sent from Dear Gary Burwood. Please join us and share with us in our client portal. It's that simple. All the client has to do is click here. So again, from a client collaboration point of view, this is positioning you as a modern leading edge firm. They're already impressed with you that it was that easy to share information with them. This is what comes up on the screen when they do. Now remember, we specified our name as Gavel and Gown LLC, so it's immediately branded for my firm, right down to that logo and letterhead. Remember, we uploaded that to the portal, and right here, as the client's getting set up, they see that, and they're welcomed to it. They confirm that they've read the terms of service, and then all they have to do is define their own password. It has to be a strong password because, well, because their client confidential information is being shared through it. So you can see the little measurement right here that tells them it's strong. And it recommends to them that they write it down, because once that password is defined, nobody else has access to it. It's that easy. Their account is now being created, and it says, congratulations, your account's been created. Click login, and you're there. So we're now logging in as Gary Burwood to the client portal, the Amicus client portal. My browser's offering to save the password. We won't do that. And here's what the client sees. Again, well, Gary Burwood, welcome. There's a firm name, there's a firm logo, completely branded for my firm. You can see I can navigate between the matter files I have open, documents and notes, and I get some helpful reminders about what's going on here. Love to take you through all of it, but I'm going to go fairly quickly because right now what we're trying to do is get a sense of how you can collaborate electronically with your clients. So I clicked on the Matters button, and remember, we only shared 2 of Gary's matters with them, the Directorship matter and the Burwood and Wright matter. So I'll open the Burwood and Wright matter. Now remember, I'm the client, Gary Burwood, and I'm logging in and seeing what my law firm, Heather Gavel as my lawyer, have shared with me through this portal. And I can see in my file all the documents, appointments, tasks, and notes on the file, including, look at this, a new file intake form. So all I have to do is select that and click View. Now that document was resident until I clicked on my law firm's server. But when I clicked it, 256-bit encrypted, it came to my browser wherever I might be, and it's opened up this document. Word, of course, has a protection on editing. I'll enable my editing, and there we go. Again, my firm letterhead and other such things. Now, imagine the workflow process as you bring in new clients. Instead of having to have clerks fill in documentation or have the client do it in your office somewhere or whatever else, you can have simple intake forms, put them on the client portal, the client fills it all in, and then saves it back to your portal. I won't bother saving for now, but they would. Saves it back to your portal, and you've got all the new file intake information up there. Phenomenal for sharing whatever kind of information you want. Again, they can see what's coming up in terms of appointments. I've got a client meeting right there. They can see that appointment. I can choose to see just what's coming in the future or past appointments as well. So there's everything we've done in the past. Same thing with upcoming tasks or notes. Right, let's go back to the documents for a second. There's an affidavit that my lawyer has drafted for me, Gary Burwood, and I may want to look at this affidavit, see some information about it, and I might want to add a note to it about it. Maybe there's something I'm not sure I'm prepared to depose to, or just give my attorney feedback about what I can or can't say in that affidavit. So I'll just put in a simple note, can I really say this? Save and close. Now watch carefully what happens on my screen, because remember, at the moment I'm logged into the browser as Gary Burwood, and I'm logged into Amicus as the lawyer, Heather Gavel. I'll save and close that, and bang, up on my screen comes this new note created by Gary Burwood via the client portal. So now Heather Gavel is receiving this, can I really say this, note, real time as the client puts it in. So if we go back to our practice management system, now we're Heather Gavel, we'll go into the file Burwood and Wright, and we'll see all the notes on the file. And again, you'll see all file notes right there. Can I really say this? There it is. So all of the information real time is shared. But the other point is, as the attorney, I could then reply to the client, and Gary Burwood is working late. He doesn't get back until perhaps midnight tonight. At midnight tonight, he can see his attorney's communication about the document. He can see proposed revisions. He can send up proposed revisions. So it's collaboration real time if both are at their desks, but at the convenience of each if they're not. Sharing all this information. Now you might say, well, whoa, is everything on my Client Matter file going to be shared with my clients through this portal? Because there may be some things I don't want to share. Relax, don't worry about that. All you have to do to share anything, we'll say go into a list of documents, is just right-click and click Share in Client Portal, and it shares it. But by default, it's not shared, so you can choose what is shared in that simple way. And if you want to see everything that's shared from the attorney's perspective, you click on Shared with Clients, and it brings up a list of everything on the Matter file that has been shared, and you can obviously add more things or remove things from this as you please. So, time to go back to PowerPoint. I'd love to show you more about that portal, but again, we've got limited amount of time this afternoon, and I want to be sure to have time for questions. I think from that you've got a sense of how a portal, a client portal built into your practice management system, is phenomenal for client collaboration, because you don't have to add anything to it other than materials that you are already using yourself to practice. So there's no double entry, there's no re-entry, there's no sending things off. Right-click Share, and your client can see it at their convenience and can provide you with feedback or commentary about it, whether it's a file intake form, an affidavit, or anything else, at their leisure. What does that mean? Well, it means you're delivering better client service, you have easier and more secure client communications, easier and better client collaboration, and your clients are up to date without any significant effort by you at the time of their convenience. You can work more efficiently, so can they. Another interesting side effect of this is it enlarges your potential client base, because you don't have to be dependent on the clients being within an easy drive of your office. You can deliver legal services to a much broader geographical area when you're using things like video phone calls, Skype, and a client portal. You can reach clients across the country. The last and most important benefit, of course, is that you're going to have happier clients if you work with them. Happier clients means you get more referral from your clients, which means your law practice thrives. I guess that's my last and most important message about this and your law practice and client collaboration in general. It really is all about your clients. The practice of law is not about you. It's about delivering to your clients the type of services they value in the way in which they need them in the year 2015. And to do that effectively, I believe you need tools of the kinds we've discussed this afternoon. Thank you very much for listening. If you want more information about Amicus Attorney, our website is right there. It's amicusattorney.com.